Mark Evans, the CEO of Evans Mart, had built his business from the ground up. At 45, he was proud of what he had achieved. Evans Mart started as a small convenience store in a quiet suburban neighborhood. But over the years, it had expanded into a successful franchise with dozens of locations. Despite the success, Mark began to feel disconnected from his stores. The numbers on his reports didn't tell him what was really happening on the ground. He didn't know if his employees felt valued, and he wondered if his vision for customer service was being carried out. One day, Mark decided to do something drastic. He was tired of just looking at spreadsheets and reports, so he planned to visit one of his stores, but this time he would go undercover. His goal was simple: to see the real operations, interact with employees, and hear firsthand how things were going. He chose the third store he had ever opened, located in a busy part of town. It was one of the top-performing stores, and he was curious to see if things were running smoothly there. Mark disguised himself as a regular worker. He wore old jeans, a hoodie, and a baseball cap to keep his identity hidden. He grew out a scruffy beard, hoping no one would recognize him. His plan was to blend in so he could see what was happening behind the scenes. When he walked into the store early that morning, it was already buzzing with activity. Customers were shopping, employees were stocking the shelves, and there was a low murmur of conversation filling the air. It was a typical day in the store, but Mark had a feeling that today would be anything but typical. Mark introduced himself to the store manager, Joe, as Mike, a temporary worker sent by headquarters to help out. Joe was a kind man, welcoming Mark with open arms. He quickly put him to work, giving him the task of stocking shelves near the front of the store. Mark kept his eyes open, looking for anything that might surprise him. It didn't take long before he noticed something unusual about the cashier. Ryan, a young man in his early 20s, was working at the front of the store. He had a cheerful smile and greeted every customer as if they were an old friend. It didn't matter if it was a regular or someone new. Ryan made a point to connect with each person. He asked about their day, their families, and he even remembered the names of many of the regular customers. Mark couldn't help but admire Ryan's positive energy and the way he made people feel special. As Mark continued to work and observe, he couldn't help but notice how often Ryan went out of his way to help others. At one point, Mark overheard Ryan talking to an elderly customer. The man was buying a loaf of bread and a carton of milk. When Ryan rang up his items, he looked at the man and said, "Don't worry about the total today. It's on me." The elderly man hesitated, clearly uncomfortable with the offer. "Ryan, I can't let you do that. You'll get in trouble," the man protested. But Ryan just smiled and whispered, "It's fine. I've got this." The elderly man, looking grateful but unsure, accepted the help, paid for what he could, and left the store. Mark was stunned by what he had just witnessed. Why would a cashier pay out of his own pocket for a customer's items? This wasn't just a rare act of kindness. It was part of Ryan's routine. Mark decided to watch Ryan more closely. Over the next few hours, he saw Ryan do similar things. He helped cover small bills for struggling customers, offered unexpected discounts, and even packed extra items for people without charging them for them. Mark couldn't believe what he was seeing. Curious, Mark decided to approach Ryan during a break. He introduced himself as Mike and casually asked, "Hey, Ryan, I noticed you helping a lot of people today. Why do you do it?" Ryan seemed surprised by the question, but after a moment of thought, he answered honestly, "Well, Mike, some of the people who come here are really struggling. Mr. Thompson, the man you saw earlier, just lost his wife and is barely making ends meet. There's also this single dad who comes in with his kids. Sometimes they can't afford everything they need. I just try to help where I can. It's not much, but it makes a difference." Mark felt a lump form in his throat. Ryan was young, yet he carried the weight of other people's struggles on his shoulders. He wasn't just working for a paycheck. He was giving what little he had to others in need. Mark was impressed, but he also felt a little sad for Ryan. Here was a young man doing so much for others, but no one seemed to be looking out for him. The next day, Mark arrived at the store early again, eager to learn more. He spent the day working and talking to other employees. One of them, an older stockroom worker named Bill, shared something that really struck Mark. Bill was a quiet, hard-working man, and he had a lot of respect for Ryan. "You know, that kid has had a tough life," Bill said quietly. "His dad passed away when he was a teenager, and ever since then, he's been working odd jobs to support his younger brother. He barely takes a day off, even when he's sick. He's a good kid, but I worry about him. He's always giving to others, but no one ever seems to take care of him." Mark was shocked. Ryan, with his bright smile and cheerful attitude, had been carrying such a heavy burden for years. The more Mark learned about him, the more he realized just how special Ryan was. He had given so much of himself to others, but who was looking out for him? By the third day, Mark knew it was time to reveal his true identity. After the store closed, he gathered everyone for a meeting. As the team sat down, Mark removed his baseball cap and hoodie. He stood in front of them, looked around, and said, "Hi, everyone. I'm Mark Evans, the CEO of Evans Mart." There was a stunned silence in the room. Ryan's eyes widened in disbelief. Mark could see the shock on his face, and he felt a mix of emotions. "I've been working here undercover for the past few days," Mark continued, "and I have to say, this has been an eye-opening experience." Mark turned to Ryan, his heart full of admiration. "Ryan, your kindness and generosity have inspired me. You go above and beyond for our customers, even when you don't have to. I've seen how much you care, and I want you to know it hasn't gone unnoticed." Mark then announced that Ryan would be promoted to a management position with a significant raise. The room erupted in applause. But that wasn't all. Mark also told Ryan that he would pay for his younger brother's education and set up a fund to support employees in need at all Evans Mart locations. Ryan was overwhelmed. He thanked Mark, but he insisted that he didn't help people to receive anything in return. "I just do it because it feels right," he said, his voice thick with emotion. Mark smiled warmly. "That's exactly why you deserve it," he replied. From that moment on, Ryan's store became a model for other Evans Mart locations. Employees felt more motivated, customers felt more valued, and Mark made it a point to visit his stores regularly. Ryan's kindness had not only changed the lives of the customers he helped, but it had also made a lasting impact on the entire company. Mark's undercover visit had done more than reveal the inner workings of his store. It had given him a deeper understanding of the kind of people he was working with. And in the end, it was a simple act of kindness from one young man that changed everything. If you like this video, then subscribe this channel.